In this episode, we're talking about building sustainable success in high pressure roles with Erin Stafford. This is the Convene podcast. As a recovering type A overachiever, which I can say the same for me, Erin is on a mission to help leaders and teams unlock extraordinary results without compromising their energy or well being. Erin, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I definitely recognize myself in that recovering type A overachiever.
I think probably everybody here at PCMA does.
Absolutely. Event planners are just right there.
Yeah.
So tell me about burnout. It often affects the hardest working people. So how come exactly ambition and resilience are the two things that get us into trouble?
Because these are the things that are rewarded in society. The same things that help us be successful are the exact same things that take us down. And I talk about these in my keynotes all the time that, like, if we work hard, we win. If we don't win, we didn't work hard enough. We blame ourselves because so many event planners, so many event professionals, we're motivated, we're driven, we're ambitious, we want to succeed, we have achievement addiction, we're maybe perfectionists. All of these things can help us be successful, but they're also the very things that take us down. And so it can be tricky. I mean, for me, I was completely addicted to, I had achievement addiction. And so I just wanted to keep succeeding and accomplishing and achieving. And yet that becomes exhausting. And when your whole entire identity is wrapped up in what you're accomplishing and achieving, you're never happy. Nothing's ever good enough. Nothing's ever bigger, better, fast enough. I mean, we're always searching for the next thing. And so it eventually will take you down.
So how did you recover?
Let's say I'm still recovering. I don't know if one is ever fully recovered, you know? I think when you have this inherent sense of like motivation and drive, it's really hard to ever just not be that person, you know? That's why so much of what I talk about in my keynotes is about making small micro shifts. No massive overachiever who works a million hours a week is going to just instantly stop and have some 3-hour morning routine that involves saunas and cold plunges and journaling and all this stuff. Like, it doesn't happen. You know, it's small, slow little adjustments over time that really make a huge difference.
And your background is quite colorful, and you've gone through
Just
some...
like my language.
You've gone through complexity, including the largest healthcare personnel deployment in history. So, high pressure situation,
Yeah.
kind of, right?
Yeah, very. No, there's no kind of about it. Yeah.
So, how did you sustain your energy and clarity back then, and how do you do it now?
It was very challenging. I mean, I had never lived through a global pandemic before. Most people probably watching, listening have never lived through a global pandemic until, 2020. And so it was new. And we were already, the company I worked for was a massive healthcare staffing company. And we were already this hyper growth company. And then when COVID hit, we were off to the races and it grew tremendously even during that time. And so it was hard. I mean, I think for anybody going through a hyper growth situation, you are truly making stuff up as you go because it's never happened before and you're growing so quickly and the needs are so real. And for what we were doing, people are dying, and so it just felt so real and we had to address it immediately. And so it was very high pressure, high stakes. It was tough. I mean, I can't say I have a lot of wine. That's the wrong answer, by the way, but a lot of wine to begin with. And then I was like, okay, this is not going to solve the problem. This is only going to postpone the problem. I think, thank God I had amazing colleagues to lean on. And I know so many people in the events industry, we have incredible colleagues, people that care so much. But I think it's also, again, just sort of these micro breaks and really trying to step away for a minute because we were working like 20-hour days, 7 days a week. It was really intense. And I had a boss, the CEO who I reported to, who was somebody who really demanded excellence. There was nothing short of excellence that we could do. And I know so many people have experienced that as well, whether it's a client and you're putting on an event and it has to be absolutely perfect. Otherwise they go crazy. Like, I get it, and it's hard. You feel like everything has to be perfect. And so for me, a lot of the things that me and my team and all of our nurses would do was just like taking a break, whether that is a 3-minute break, whether you're just going to the bathroom and you're like, you know what? I'm just going to sit in here for a few more minutes. Like, this is the only chance I get to be alone. Like, however, you can carve out those little moments of alone time where you can just take a deep breath. Maybe you don't want to do that in the bathroom, but like where you can just take a deep breath, walk away. If you're refilling your water bottle, like, can you just take 3 deep breaths while you're refilling your water bottle? When you go to the bathroom, can you take an extra 5-minute break? When you're eating your lunch or you're microwaving something, like for those 3 minutes, something's getting microwaved. Can you just use that time to like take deep breaths, inhale, exhale? Like those are the things you need to do. And I get it when event plan, like when you're in the middle of an event, there is no downtime. There is so much stuff happening. So you've got to eke out and carve out those little tiny moments, those like I call them pockets of peace, like those little moments, pockets of peace where you can just find a moment to catch your breath and like recharge for a second.
Yeah, and in this industry, we definitely wear busy as a badge of honor.
100, lots of industries, not just events.
Yeah, and you speak about success not only the looking good, but also feeling good.
Yeah.
So can you elaborate a bit more on that, on the feel part?
Yeah, I mean, I think where that comes from is I speak to a lot of high achievers, a lot of leaders, executives. I speak to a lot of sales teams, people that are really driven. And on paper, they may have lives that look incredible. They're making a lot of money. They're living flashy lives. They're going to cool events. They're doing interesting things. They're meeting with famous people. Like on paper, it can look really good, but they may be the most miserable people you've ever met. And so that's what's really hard is like you see all these high achievers that I work with and speak to, and like they have all the things, but they're miserable, or their relationships suck, or their health is starting to fail them. And so that's what I really talk about, creating lives that not only look good, but feel good. Because me and everyone else I talk to, we want to continue to kick butt and achieve at the highest levels, but do it in a way where we're not ruining our health and our relationships at the same time. And so that's what I mean by create a life that not only looks good, but feels good.
How can we redefine that, do you think?
Yeah. I think so much of it is redefining what success looks like, and it not just being money and job title. Society rewards people for working hard. Society rewards people for burning out. They're the ones that seem to be getting promoted and making more money, the people that are working around the clock. But as I just was talking about, money and success. Don't get me wrong, money is great. We all want to be making good money. I am not against making great money. We all want to be making boatloads of money. But like, how do we do it in a way where that's not our whole entire personality? And so redefining things. I know for me, when I was at my last corporate job before I started speaking full time, it was really about like flexibility. I remember being so jealous of people that could like go to yoga on a Tuesday afternoon, where I'm still like trapped at my desk. And so when I eventually ended up leaving my last corporate job, having a role that was flexible was one of the things that was really important to me. And I have that now. So for me, that was part of what success looked like. For me, it's spending more time with my family. My parents are getting older, thank God they're still pretty healthy, but like they're getting older. They're not going to be here forever. I want to be able to spend at least one weekend a month with my parents. And so that to me is part of what success looks like to me. Have I been away too long? Am I making that a priority? So really just evaluating the different parts of your life and looking at success not just through the lens of money and job title, because that is a recipe for burnout.
Do you think it's also a matter of boundaries that you put around your work life in your corporate role?
Yeah. Short answer, yes. The short answer is yes. I mean, boundaries are hard though, especially when you may be a people pleaser. And I would imagine, as a lot of events professionals, the client is always right. You want to make this event perfect for that client. And so you're like, yes, of course we can do that, and then you're like, how the hell are we going to do that? I mean, it's the nature of the beast. And so, yeah, it's hard to put those boundaries in. But I also talk about, if for some reason you're in a phase where you can't have a lot of boundaries at work right now, where maybe you're in the middle of some crazy event or you've got a really demanding client, how can you put some of those boundaries around your home life? Whether it's getting to bed at a certain time, whether it's hiring some extra help if you're able to during those really busy seasons. And if you can't hire them and pay for them, can you get some friends or family to help with certain things? Can your kids, are they old enough? Can they step in and help do some more? Because we don't always have complete autonomy to decide whatever the hell we want to do. Like, yes, I get it. We all have seasons of life and seasons of work that are just hard to deal with. So where can you create some boundary? If it's not at work, can you create it at home? And if it's not at home, can you create a few more boundaries at work?
And you often speak about purpose, right? So, what are your tips in redefining your own purpose and why you kind of ended up in that situation?
In what situation?
Like in your company, in that project, in whatever it may be happening to you, right? It's my personal kind of opinion that we end up, because it's our own, we also have power to choose and power to act, because it's happening on our little board. And I'm taking this from a book called The Art of, no, it's of course it's going to escape me that I want to quote the book's name. The Art of, anyway, I'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
It's
TBD.
from a book. Yeah. But yeah, it's happening on our own board, which we manage, and we move all the chess pieces on that board. So how can we redefine the purpose and make sure that we're in the right spot that really satisfies us and ourselves?
I think purpose is a word that gets tossed around a lot. And I think a lot of us are sitting at home being like, what's my purpose? Like, I just think it feels so big, and people think they need to have like this big, grand purpose in life of like, I'm going to save all the starving children. I'm going to stop war. I'm going to do all these things. Like, yes, please do all that. That would be amazing. But like, you don't have to have some like life altering purpose to still be happy. And also, our purpose changes, our interests change, our priorities change as we get older, as we move through different seasons of life, as we have different jobs. Like, our purpose and our priorities and our interests change. And I think that's totally okay. I've changed careers like 7 different times. I've done everything from being a celebrity stylist in Hollywood to a jewelry designer to a marketing professional to a keynote speaker. Like, it's okay. We can have different purposes. And I think instead of asking ourselves like, what's my purpose and am I living my purpose, which feels like such a daunting question that I think a lot of people would struggle with, I think the real question to ask is just like, what makes me happy right now? What's lighting me up? What are the things I'm avoiding? Because that'll tell you real quick what is not your purpose and what is not your interest. Like, are you avoiding a whole bunch of things at work and at home? That ain't your purpose. What are the things that light you up? What are the things that you're curious about? What are the things that sound fun to you? Where do you want to spend more of your time? If you're looking at your calendar, what are the things on your calendar that you look forward to most? Maybe it's cheering your kid on from the sidelines at soccer practice. Maybe it's doing the creative brainstorm meetings at work. Like, I don't know. But those are the questions I think that are more helpful to answer right now than just like, what's my purpose, which can feel so nebulous and so big and so daunting.
How are you protecting your energy, and how can we build those little sources of energy, those batteries?
I mean, I have a lot of energy. If you guys saw me on stage yesterday, I naturally have a lot of energy. Somehow I was born like this. I genuinely have a lot of energy. But I will say, because I am such an extrovert and I exude so much energy throughout my day, I crash and burn at night. Like, it is a rarity that I am awake past 8:30 p.m. I'm like Cinderella. Like, the street lights go on, I got to go to bed. I'm exhausted. So I know that sleep is a huge thing for me, and I really try to prioritize my sleep. And I always sleep with an eye mask and earplugs and all of this stuff to really help make sure I get good sleep. And now my ADD is gone. And what was the question again?
How can we create those moments to protect and replenish?
Protecting our energy. There we go. Sorry. Woo. Sleep. Obviously, that was the point I was making there, is really making sure that you prioritize your sleep. But everyone gets fired up and gets energized by different things. For introverts, being in an environment where you're around a ton of people, it's going to drain your energy. So how can you carve out those moments where you can recalibrate and recharge your energy? And also just like, what are those things that fire you up? What are those things that get you excited? What are the things that drain you? Can you do an energy audit of your day or your week? Go back through your calendar, go back through your meetings, your Zooms. Like, what did I do this week? Which ones fired me up? Which ones got me excited? Which ones drained me? I realize we can't get rid of all the things that drain us. If only, that would be amazing. Life's not like that. We all have to do crap that we don't want to do. But like, how can we limit maybe the time that we spend doing energy draining activities? Every job, even if you're self-employed running your own business, you have energy draining activities. How can you limit those? Can you outsource them? Can you hire somebody to do them? Can you get someone else on your team to do them because they're better at it than you or they enjoy it more than you? Can you carve out those little moments of peace, pockets of peace, like moments of quiet where you can just recharge? I mean, energy, it's different for everybody.
That's true. I'm an ambivert, so I'm like, after one of those events, like
Yeah.
we're now at Convening Leaders, I would need to hibernate for a week.
Yeah. A lot of people are like that, and if it's not a week, it's a few days or a few hours, and maybe it's just not going to the happy hour because you're like, I'm tapped out.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be a party pooper. I just can't talk anymore. You walk around the exhibit hall, there's a lot going on. There's people everywhere. There's noise. There's things to look at and experience and puppies and all of this stuff. Like, it's a lot. So how do you recover from that? Maybe it's not going to the party, not staying up so late, which, yes, you're missing out on an amazing event, but it's also like, okay, but then if you go to that event tonight, are you going to be drained and useless all day tomorrow?
Yeah.
Take your pick.
Just go and hug a puppy in the puppy park.
Right? But some people get so fired up by being out late and like meeting all those people and going to the things. Great. But then they might also be the people that sleep in and don't go to the main sessions the next day because they're sleeping in and they're tired. Like, we all have to figure out what works for us.
Yeah. One of the big takeaways for me from your keynote was the moment with the socks.
Yeah. Everyone's been loving the socks.
Exactly. You want to actually explain it for the listeners who have not watched it?
Yeah, so there's this great quote by Coco Chanel, and she says, before you leave the house, take one thing off. And she's talking about dressing with accessories and that less is more. And so I say, before you start your week, take one thing off. So what is one thing you can take off your calendar? And then I make a joke and say it's like a game of calendar strip poker, So you don't start with the most important pieces of clothing, like your jacket or your shirt. No, you start with the little things, like the socks of your calendar. Those little things that drain your time, your energy, your resources. So how can you just take one of those off? And then I go on to explain that it's not necessarily about taking a whole entire thing off, like an entire meeting. Oftentimes we can't. But can we make that 60-minute meeting a 45-minute meeting or a 50-minute meeting? Most meetings do not need to be 60 minutes. They just sort of default in your Outlook calendar to 60 minutes. Yeah. There's, as I always say, I'm like, there's always some moron waffling on at the end, talking about stuff you've already talked about, or asking a bunch of random questions, or BSing about something that you don't care about. It's like, dude, shut up. Let's move on with our lives, So like, that in itself, just making a 60-minute meeting a 45-minute meeting is taking something off your calendar, And all of those little things, while on their own may not sound like they're going to like change your life, added up over time, they truly will give you some time back in your calendar.
What do you think are the socks at events? So you're at an event, but you're an international speaker. You have keynotes everywhere. What are the socks that we can take away?
For me or for you?
Both.
So for me, a couple of the things are like, oftentimes when I'm coming to speak, I'll be invited to a dinner or a happy hour the night before that I speak. I almost always say no to that, not because I don't want to go or I'm like too cool and I'm like, no, I'm not going to go to your thing. No, like, I'm honored to be invited. But the night before a talk, I've usually just flown in from either another event or from where I live in San Diego. I'm tired. And I know I'm getting paid to show up and deliver on stage. And so if I'm at a dinner the night before, I'm expending a lot of energy. I'm usually talking because it's always loud in there. My voice is feeling strained. I'm not going to sleep as well. And I want to make sure that when you are hiring me for an event, that I am showing up as my absolute best self when I'm on stage where I need to deliver. And so for me, that's a sock that I take off, where it's like, I'd love to come. I'm not trying to be a diva. I just want to make sure that I am managing my energy so that when I show up on stage, I'm my best self. So for me, that's a sock that I take off. But as an attendee or as an event planner, professional, I mean, there's so many other socks that you could take off. Maybe it's as an attendee, maybe it's not skip the whole happy hour. Maybe it's go to the happy hour for 30 minutes and leave. No one says you have to stay for the whole entire time. You've showed up, you've made an appearance, you've schmoozed with a few people, go home. Go back to your room. Like that can be a sock you take off your calendar. Maybe I know you guys have so many incredible breakouts here. Maybe you don't go to every single one. Maybe you go to 2 and then you take a break for the next period that the session's happening. And you don't talk to anybody. You just go get a coffee and sit by yourself. And here's the real trick. Put your earphones on. People will think that you're like on a call or listening to something. You don't have to be listening to squat. You're just being left the hell alone. Like it's finding those moments to recharge. Those are all little socks we can take off our calendars when we're in these busy environments.
I love it.
I could rattle off more, but those are just a few examples.
If you want, yeah, go for it.
Just a few examples.
Let's talk about burnout.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that the conversation in a corporate setting has evolved, has changed in a positive way, or not really?
I think there's been a lot of positive changes. I think especially since COVID, people are talking about it a lot more. There's less stigma around it. It's a more popular conversation. I mean, I think the word burnout has always been there. People just didn't call it that. We talked a lot about work-life balance. We talked a lot about just being exhausted. I don't think we were maybe always using the terminology of burnout, but ever since the pandemic, I think people have been talking about it a lot more, which is great. The more awareness there is, the more we're talking about it, the more people feel less shame experiencing it. Do I think it's like solved? No, absolutely not. Do I think leaders are more aware of it? Yes. Do I think there have been some great changes? Absolutely. I think a lot more healthcare is covering mental health now. I think a lot more organizations are including mental health benefits in their healthcare, as well as things like, access to various apps and services and programs to help with mindfulness and meditation and therapy and all of these different things, which is great. I think a lot of organizations are talking about it more. And I think there's also been more awareness, not just around burnout statistics, but around the cost of burnout. It costs US businesses over $300 billion a year, just in sick time, lack of productivity, et cetera, et cetera. So I think there's a lot more awareness around it. And I think anytime we're having a conversation about peak performance, we need to really be looking at it through a lens of like, how do we sustain peak performance? I know so many event planners want to have sales and leadership speakers and people that talk about excellence and peak performance. And that's amazing. That's what I talk about as well. But it's how do we sustain that peak performance? Because it's one thing to hit the goal. It's another thing to do it again the next year and do it every quarter and every month. So how do we sustain that peak performance without ruining our health, our relationships, and burning out? That's really what I talk about. And that's like the crux of what I think we all need to be talking about.
Yeah. What's one mindset shift that you think we can adopt, all of us, to move in that direction?
I think one of the biggest mindset shifts for leaders, for high achievers, for salespeople is really this understanding of like, I don't have to do everything perfectly. I talked about this and shared this on stage yesterday during the Q&A, but like, how can we create a list of just good enough? Because most of our good enough is everybody else's like freaking fantastic and fabulous. So if we can just look at our calendars, our schedules every week, every month, and really figure out like, what are the few things that we have to do perfectly that really need to be top-notch excellence? Okay, great. Do those, great. But like, how can we put other things in a category of this is just going to be good enough? And really understanding that our idea of good enough is most people's idea of fabulous. and that it's fine. We don't have to kill ourselves trying to do everything perfectly all day, every day, because that's a recipe for burnout.
I love how you put a forward-looking aspect to creating something that's good enough, because I've always thought of it in the aspect of I've reached, I'm working on this project. It's here. Is that good enough?
Yeah.
Which kind of it's a different, right? You're in it, so you're looking at it, observing it, and you're like, okay, I think I've reached a good enough state.
Yeah.
I don't have the resources, time, and
Yeah.
so forth to continue. Can I ship it
Yeah.
like this?
Well, another thing to think about is like, and I used to tell my marketing team this, they'd be all flustered about some ad campaign or something. I'd be like, listen, nobody ever died of advertising, okay? No one's gonna die if this press release goes out an hour later, okay? We're gonna be fine, you know?
Yes.
And same with events. Like, okay, obviously maybe there are some events where someone might die, but like in general, if the puppy thing turns up an hour later, I realize that's not ideal, but does it really matter in the grand scheme of things? No. So it's like, okay, calm down, chill out. Let's not let that bother us. Like, it's good enough, you know?
I love it. I've had so many situations with marketing when they're like, this email has to go out in that hour. And I'm like, nobody is waiting for it. On the other side,
Yes.
they're not sitting,
Yeah, who cares? If it comes out 20 minutes later with no typos, or you send it 20 minutes earlier and you're like, oh, whoops, we should have read it one more time, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
The photo's pixelated or it's cropped weird or whatever, you know? Yeah, no one died of advertising. Like, it's going to be fine.
Yeah, I love it. Let's speak about AI. What do you think of AI? Is it helping us? Is it adding more pressure and, that strive to continue to perform on a higher level? Can it help us be better
Of
without
course.
really overburdening us?
I think AI is great. Like, it has certainly helped me and certainly helped everybody I know in every capacity. I mean, from asking questions to getting clarity on things to figuring out how to do something without having to read so much. Like, I think it's fantastic in terms of like streamlining activities, getting help, getting a proofreader. I think there's well, I can't say there's only upside. Of course there's downside of course there's downside. There's like dark, nasty, horrible people doing terrible things. Like, there's always a dark side somewhere. But like, I think in general, it's only going to help us overall. It's going to streamline things. It's going to make our jobs easier. It's going to help with proofreading. It's going to help with competitive analysis. It's going to help with pitches. If you're an event planner and you're pitching a client, like, throw your proposal into AI and be like, how can I make this stronger? What am I missing? What questions are they going to come back with? What are they going to ask me that I should prepare for? How are my competitors pitching them? What are my blind spots? What does this CEO care about? What does this client care about? Like, there are so many ways that we can use it to our advantage as an event planner, pitching clients and working with clients. Like, I just think there's a lot of help we can do. And not just in the like, write me an email that says this. That's a very transactional way, but I think you can also use it as a real like strategy thinking partner of like, where are your blind spots? What are you not thinking about? Questions are they going to ask? How can I be better in this capacity?
But do you think it adds pressure to all those that are a little bit afraid of it and not sure how to use it?
I guess I don't see that it adding pressure. I just see it as a way that it can help people and it can make their lives easier. I mean, maybe if you're like my mom's age and scared of computers, but I mean, she doesn't even like text messaging, so AI's out of the question, Like, so there's only so much we can help you with here, folks, Like, if you're not even comfortable text messaging, sure, maybe sit AI out. Go to the Apple store and learn how to text message first, and then we'll come back with the AI training,
Yeah, so don't stress.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, AI can help you use AI, so.
100%. If you don't know how to use it, go to ChatGPT and be like, how do I use you most effectively,
Yeah, and they're coming up with very good solutions in practical ways.
Dude, ChatGPT is my boy. Like, I
I
feel like he's,
know.
I don't know, mine's a guy. I just assume it's like my guy friend, you know?
Yeah, it depends what kind of you can attach the personality right now,
Mm-hmm.
right? And if you use the read function for it to read for you, it
Uh-huh.
can have different voices and
Yeah. Oh, I don't do that.
accents.
Maybe I should.
Oh, I've done that. My ChatGPT speaks as an old British lady.
Oh,
I love
ooh.
it. And the
How
weirdest
very
thing,
Downton Abbey of
I
you. Yeah.
know. And the
It's like
weird,
Dame Judi Dench reading to you or something.
it's
Maggie Smith.
it's very funny, but the weirdest thing for me is when it adds breathing in and out,
Oh,
and that freaks me out a little
yeah.
bit
You're like,
because
oh,
like
this sounds like a real person.
yeah, because it's like yes. And I'm like, why are you are
What's with the big dramatic sigh?
yeah, no, you're technology, don't
Yeah.
breathe at me. It's weird, but yes, you can do that, it's fun.
Yeah.
You can listen to the different
I'll try that.
accents.
Yeah. Love it.
So looking ahead, what did I do? What do you think will define sustainable success for leaders and organizations?
To me, sustainable success is all about, are you able and willing and wanting to continue to keep going? Because it's one thing to put on an incredible event, but if it kills everybody in executing it, it's not a success. Yes, the client might be happy. Yes, it may have been beautiful. Yes, the food may have been great. Yes, the attendees were happy and you got raving survey results. But if you and your staff are absolutely destroyed afterwards, and not only are you like wanting to call out sick, but you want to quit your job, that is not a success. That's not helpful. That's not helping anybody. So it's really about making sure that recovery is part of the KPIs that you're measuring, because it can't just be about survey results from the attendees. It's got to be, are you and your staff still wanting to do this again and put on another event and do it well?
I love it. Was there anything we didn't mention we definitely should before we wrap up?
That they can find me on erinstafford.com, that I'm always available for speaking engagements and podcasts, and here to help support you, answer questions, be of service. I'd love to connect with all of you.
And I'll definitely put a link to your book as well
Yep.
in the show notes so
Absolutely.
people can reach out.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you for being on the podcast.
Thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it.